Much for being here. My name is Ken Levinson. I'm the Executive Director of WITA. We have had a really terrific response for this event, as you all can tell. I'm sorry if everybody's having to be squeezed in. You know, on the night of the election, my wife turned to me and said, "What is this going to mean for WITA?" And I said, "You know, I'm not sure, but there's a couple of things that I think I know that people are going to be interested in. NAFTA and China, which is an event we're going to be doing next week, and we hope as many of you are here today can be here next week. There has been a lot of interest in trade, a lot of discussion about trade, a lot of discussion about NAFTA, all aspects of it, our trading relationships around the world. WITA wants to be part of that conversation. We want to try to help lead that discussion, be a place where you all can hear interesting new ideas, hot takes on things that are happening in the news, and a look towards the future of trade, which we are doing with our Next Gen Trade Initiative. We hope people have ideas that they bring them to us, and we'd be happy to publish them on our website, www.americastradepolicy.com, as well as WITA.org. This event, thank you, Nelson, thanks to the panels for being here. We'll have the first panel take questions from the audience, hopefully if we have time, and then we'll turn to our second panel. Next week, we have a big hot event on China, looking at U.S.-China trade. We're going to be featuring John Pomfret, author of a new book called The Beautiful Country in the Middle Kingdom. He'll be here talking about that's the 200-year-plus history of U.S.-China trade, and then we'll go into panel discussions about current China-U.S. relations. And then on March, what's my date here? March 3rd, we have the Congressional Trade Panel with the 4 trade councils from the relevant committees all coming in for that program, which will be the morning of March 3rd. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Nelson Cunningham, and thank you all for being here.
Well, thank you, Ken, for
Turning on the mic.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken. It's a real pleasure to be here this morning, and thanks to WITA for organizing this very timely session on NAFTA 2.0. As someone who has been involved in the trade, war is too strong, debate is too tame, the vigorous trade discussions we've had in Washington over the last 20 years, we're certainly at even in the scope of those discussions, we are at an unprecedented moment right now, awaiting to see the unrolling of the administration's new trade strategy. We've heard a lot from the president when he was a candidate, when he was president-elect, since becoming president. We've heard a lot about Mexico, we've heard a lot about Mexicans, we've heard a lot about NAFTA, we've heard a lot about China, we've heard a lot about TPP. A lot of things are going to be ripped up, a lot of things are going to be done away with, a lot of things are going to be changed, and yet we have little in the way of actual specifics that have come out. The president's trade team, some of them have been named, formally named. Wilbur Ross is, I guess his nomination is somewhere on the floor of the Senate. They'll get to him at some point as they march through the list of cabinet officers. Bob Lighthizer name at USTR, I don't believe he has been formally sent up because guess what? He advised a foreign power at some point in his career, and that may be a block to his serving there. We do have Peter Navarro at the National Trade Council. He has very well-known views that relate to China. Bob Lighthizer has very well-known views that relate to China. Wilbur Ross has well-known views that also largely relate to China. What's interesting sitting here at a panel on NAFTA 2.0 is that each of these men has said actually very little about NAFTA. So how exactly they will roll out and implement a new NAFTA policy is, for the moment, unclear. We have the president's very strong statement, and for the rest of it, we're waiting. We know that Rex Tillerson met yesterday with Luis Videgaray, the Mexican foreign minister. We also know he met separately with Chrystia Freeland, the Canadian foreign minister. The three of them did not meet together, which is interesting. We know that Peña Nieto canceled the trip here, and there are no plans for him to come. We do know that Prime Minister Trudeau will come as soon as next week. Kellyanne Conway, in a slip yesterday on the air, let it out that maybe he'd be here as soon as next week. And we know that Wilbur Ross's name is soon to be on the floor of the Senate and up and out. My sources close to the administration tell me that as soon as Ross is in the chair, they will begin implementing their trade strategy and that Ross will lead it. What we're going to do this morning with our really superbly qualified panel is try to give you an idea as you walk out of here, both this panel and the next panel, of what the range of options are for what may come out of the new trade policy specifically for NAFTA. Will it be a slight change? Will it be a total redo? How will it impact various industries? And we hope to give you, as you walk out today, a set of benchmarks, a ruler, perhaps some rules of thumb to look ahead, so that you can advise your clients, advise your companies of the coming impact on NAFTA. The first panel is focusing on the broader policy issues. The second panel is an industry-specific panel. Our broader panel this morning, I think you'll agree, is superbly constructed to give us a variety of viewpoints. To my right is Yuri Dadush, who is a noted economist, trade policy expert. He's written broadly and deeply about trade and globalization issues over the years. To his right is Matt Gold, who was the Deputy Assistant U.S. Trade Rep for North America, so is deeply schooled in the mechanics of NAFTA, and also is a professor at Fordham, so he will give us the legal underpinnings. What's the legal reality of what the President can actually do on his own? For what does he need Congress? For what does he need an actual renegotiation? Beyond him is Thea Lee, who is, for many years, has been one of the leading voices from the labor movement on international trade and on NAFTA, and is someone who is extremely thoughtful on the issues affecting the labor community, and she'll help us understand labor's perspective on the NAFTA renegotiation. And then to her right is Antonio Ortiz Mena, a longtime Mexican government official, longtime official here at the Mexican Embassy, understands the U.S.-Mexico relationship deeply, and he'll give us the Mexican perspective and perhaps the Mexican responses, expected responses to what President Trump might do. So with that, we're going to go down the panel in the order in which we're seated here. Each person will speak for 5 or 6 minutes. We'll get the conversation going up here, and then we'll turn it to the audience for what I hope will be, in fact I know will be, a very, as they say in the legal business, a very hot bench with lots of questions and lots of hands in the air.